Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Morning. We're back, people. Hope you're all well. Big up to all of you that have joined me nice, bright and early on this Monday morning. Yes, there's another week we are about to start. And I hope you've all got some good things planned. And I hope there's some transfer news planned. There's certainly some this morning that we're going to go through. Big up to all of you that's here nice and early in the chat room. Let's say hello to all of you. Mike, first in the house. Big up, Mike. Big up, Emerson. Steve, hope you're having a good holiday, my bro. Big Sir, Ben, Ash, hope you're well, my bro. Creeper, Helsinki. From his gunner, hope you're well. Matty, Simon, Tim, Mum, Niffin, and everyone else that's here that I haven't said hello to. Big up to all of you for watching on Catch Up as well. If you've not caught us live, then please make sure you hit a like and a subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a show. And make sure you check out Manscaped. Now, Manscaped's deal is not very much longer. So please make sure you click on that link. 20% off of the Beard Hedger. Go and select that, add it to your cart. You'll see 20% has come off automatically using that link. So please make sure that you do that. Got some new people joining us at the moment. Big up to Wolves. Big up to Emma. Hope you're having a good holiday as well. And big up to Jay. Let's get to it. There's a lot of transfer news. We're going to be talking about Chelsea. We're going to be talking a little bit about Julian Alvarez. We're going to be talking about Conor Gallagher as well. Osimhen and where he's potentially going. Bit of Liverpool news as well, which I think most people will be interested in. They haven't really done much, have they, Liverpool, so far this window? So we're going to touch on that as well. We're also going to look at what Arsenal might need in relation to striker situation. And there's a couple of other rumours as well circulating today, or this morning, should I say. So let's get straight into it. Make sure you've hit the like button on this one. We are getting so close to 30k now, people. Every day I'm looking, it's creeping up slowly. So please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It's free. There is absolutely no fee when it comes to a subscription at YouTube. All you do is click the subscribe button and it supports the channel massively. So make sure you hit subscribe. Must hit subscribe. There's a lot of you that still have not subscribed to the channel. So please make sure that you do that. Let's go through the news then, shall we? We have got quite a lot of news to talk about. We've got quite a lot to get through. First of all, we're going to talk about the future of this guy, Julian Alvarez. Now, there is absolutely no clear understanding of where or what is happening with Julian Alvarez. We believe that Manchester City and Pep Guardiola would like to keep him, but Julian Alvarez has other ideas. He wants first-team football. He's not happy the fact that he's playing behind Haaland. They have tried to play him in the 10 and the left, but he's still not happy with that, and he believes that he needs to go and seek a move away. Now, this is always difficult for Manchester City when you've got an Aguero or a Haaland at the club. And Tottenham always found this with Harry Kane. Whoever comes into Manchester City or whoever was going to come into Tottenham with Harry Kane, you're never going to get first-team football. At least with Arsenal, we're in a situation where there's not really a proper number one striker at the moment. Now, when we do find that, let's just say we have the dream signing of Alexander Isak, it's very, very, very difficult to then find someone afterwards to then go and get a backup striker. So, in my opinion, Julian Alvarez is looking at that situation thinking, where else can I go? And apparently Atletico Madrid are the team that are favourites to get him. They have opened talks with the Manchester City forward over a deal to sign him. Now, we don't know how much this is, but it is believed that Manchester City would like around 80 to 90 million euros, which would be a lot of money. But let's be real, he's a player that actually does know where the back of the net is. And there are other clubs interested, which we'll touch on very, very soon. PSG are one of them, who are very interested in Julian Alvarez, but also have their heart set on other targets like Viktor Osimhen. I think this could be a little bit of a domino effect here. I think there might be something that needs to happen for this to then be brought forward. I don't know what the future of João Felix is. I don't know what the future of Viktor Osimhen is. And I still don't know what the future of Julian Alvarez is. So this one is probably going to happen. Now, what does that mean for Man City? What that probably means is that they're going to be in for another striker, which is maybe interesting, but also could be potentially quite scary if they were to be going in for some of the links that the likes of Arsenal were going for. Dare I say it? Would Manchester City look at Ivan Toney? for £50 million, back up to Haaland. Perfect for what they need. Perfect move for him. Dream move for him, in fact. No, he wouldn't play every game. Would he want to? I imagine so. But when you're back up to Haaland and you know you're going to play some games, probably wouldn't be that bad. And listen, I don't understand why Ivan Toney's still at Brentford. Can't believe no one's picked him up yet. I really can't. So take a look at what's happening with Julian Alvarez. Keep your eyes on it. I think he's leaving Manchester City for sure. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he's probably going to go. Looks like KDB and Ederson are staying at the moment. KDB looks to be staying for this season and leaving potentially on a free next season, which will be a big miss for them to get no money for him. And obviously, Ederson at the moment, although he's got his heart set on Saudi's money, doesn't look like he's going either. So Manchester City doing all they can to keep their players and keep some of their best players at that. So watch what happens with that one. Let's move to Chelsea because the Daily Mail are reporting rumours on this guy, Conor Gallagher. And it looks as if he could be leaving. And again, it's that same club, Atletico Madrid. They remain keen and they have agreed a fee, which is just under £34 million for Conor Gallagher. But there's problems. Chelsea and him don't really know what's going on. It's stalled. The deal doesn't look to be getting through as quickly as possible. Conor Gallagher, I don't think, wants to leave Chelsea. He's obviously a Chelsea boy, come through the ranks. And I don't think Chelsea fans are all happy about how he's being treated. I think actually it's a disgrace, really. You know, I'm all for selling players, but then just to go and vanish him and say, you're not going to be part of our training, you have to go train on your own, all these rumours that are coming out, actually it's disgraceful, if I'm honest. I think it's shockingly bad from Chelsea, who, you know, don't really look after their own. You know, whenever Arsenal have sold players, we've always wished them luck. We've always done all we can to help them, like we've done with Smith-Rowe, like we've done in the past when players through the academy have gone on that haven't made it, but have gone on to do good things, like Joe Willock, for example, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. We've always managed to have a good relationship with them and treated them right. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Chelsea are too interested in doing that. So that's the way I see it. If this is to happen and Conor Gallagher is to leave, then there will be a potential replacement coming in. And it looks like it's going to be potentially the Celtic boy, Matt O'Reilly. Now, I don't know enough about him. I really don't. But apparently, Chelsea could move for the Celtic Danish midfielder, who's 23, if Conor Gallagher does join Atletico Madrid. That's come from Sky Sports News. I don't know enough about him, but I know there was links to other clubs suggesting that they're interested in him. So he's obviously looking clubs are looking at him, but Chelsea have joined the race to sign him now, so he could come in to replace Conor Gallagher. There's also rumours of other midfielders. Chelsea are linked with everyone, as they always are. Linked with another 16-year-old today. I mean, honestly, what is happening here? This is a super chat from Kingsley. Big up, my bro. Hope you're well. Morning, Dan. Fabrizio Romano has said that there's a here we go for Gallagher. So that's going to happen then now. So it looks like he's going to be off to Atletico Madrid, which, to be fair, is a good signing for him. It's a good player. He'll come over there and do well. Simeone, he's that kind of player, isn't he? He's that hard-working grafter. He's got the legs in midfield. He's got the energy that he'll bring. I'm sure he'll go and have a good career over there. But let's be real. I don't think he's been treated very, very, very well. At all, if I'm honest. I think it's a bit of a sour taste left in the mouth, if I'm honest. Trevor Chalobah as well, another player who's probably one of, you know, you're looking at Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher have come through the ranks, just like Mason Mount, just like Tomori, just like Mark Guehi, just like Nathan Ake, just like Livramento, just like Tammy Abraham, just like Tariq Lamptey, just like Eddie Nketiah, all these guys that have come through. Whenever they look at the ranks at Chelsea now, don't ever get worried because they'll sell them. They will never ever make it at their club. They never will. It's bizarre the way that they do it. But there we go. Big up for the super chat though, bro. Much appreciate that. And thanks for reminding me that is a here we go. So that one's done. Looks like he's going to be off, and looks like potentially this guy could be coming in to Chelsea if, of course, he agrees a move to Chelsea. So that one could be interesting. Sticking with Chelsea, apparently this one potentially isn't happening. David Ornstein might not be that great after all. He said this was pretty much one that was on the cards, but apparently Napoli have not received any official offers for the Nigerian striker Viktor Osimhen, and the 25-year-old is not keen on a move to Chelsea. The Belgian forward Lukaku, however, moving the other way as part of any deal is something they would still like to happen. Napoli have Conte and he's obsessed with Lukaku. I can see that one happening, whatever, as a separate deal. I don't know how much it would cost. I imagine it'll be 25, 30 million still, because at 31, he's got all that experience and he'll definitely come in and do some damage in the Serie A, because you've seen that before. But what is going to happen with Romelu Lukaku and what's going to happen with Viktor Osimhen? I don't see this one happening, because I personally believe that Osimhen has probably got his heart set on a move elsewhere. However, Chelsea being in the Conference League is not going to attract anybody. I understand they're a big club. I understand they've got money. I understand they can pay you money, wages, and I understand they're in London. But at the moment, if another club comes in, Chelsea are no longer the number one that people will look at. And they were. For 2 decades, Chelsea and City have been the 2 clubs that everyone will look at and go, wow, guaranteed trophies, guaranteed money, great league, let's go over there. But it's not like that at the moment at Chelsea. Chelsea have got to sort themselves out if they believe that is where they are wanting to get back to, because for me, it's a long way, a long way. That's for sure. Let's take a look at Liverpool, shall we? Because Liverpool have been very, very quiet at the moment. It looks like Bremer is going to sign a new deal as well at centre-back. It's the one they wanted from Juventus. So that one doesn't look like it's happening. But there was rumours that Matip is being looked at. Now, obviously, he's no longer at Liverpool. He's a player that left on a free transfer. He's 32. I think he's one of the most underrated centre-halves Liverpool had in their period of success under Klopp. I thought he was very, very good. But the former Liverpool and Cameroon defender Joel Matip is a target for Bayern Leverkusen on a free transfer, having left Anfield at the end of his contract. So that's one that's definitely left Liverpool. They are looking for a centre-half. Bremer does not look like the guy, because he's now signed with Juventus. Who are Liverpool going to go for? I've always had in the back of my mind Mark Guehi, but that looks like Newcastle are in pole position for him. So I don't know what's happening with the talks about that deal. Mark Guehi being reported by David Ornstein about 2 or 3 days ago that Mark Guehi and Newcastle were chatting about a deal, and Palace were happy to accept that he was leaving because he's only got 1 year left and he's not going to sign. So they want to take money for him. Around about 50 or 60 million is the rumoured report. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to do a super chat from Max in a minute. It's big up, Max. I hope you're well. But I want to talk about this guy, because Newcastle and Liverpool being spoken about again. Joe Gomez is the guy that apparently wants to stay at Liverpool. Now, there is no suggestion that he wants to leave, but the England defender has no interest in leaving Liverpool, despite the club offering the 27-year-old in a swap deal for the Newcastle and England winger, Anthony Gordon. Watch what happens here. They have been linked with Anthony Gordon all of this transfer window, Liverpool. I really don't understand how they think they're going to get him, because unless they've got 100 million, because that's what it's going to cost. You know, they're not going to accept anything less than 85 to 90 million, Newcastle. They're really not. Like, you know, if you want Isak, he's going to be over 100. If you want Bruno, he's going to be just under 100. If you want Gordon, he's going to be just under 100. They're 3 best players, let's be real. So if you want any of those 3, you have to have 100 million. Otherwise, they're not even going to entertain it. They're definitely not going to look at Joe Gomez in a swap deal with some money. That's just not going to happen. I like both players. I think Joe Gomez has had a good career at Liverpool. Still only 27 as well, so he's at his best right now. Got back into the Liverpool squad last season, and I thought it was the one that was down and out. Actually, he was one of their best fullbacks. You know, when Trent was injured, he came in. At left back, he came in when Robertson was injured. Ended the season there, and in my opinion, should have played there for England more instead of Kieran Trippier, who was makeshift over there. But a player I rate, a player that would do well at Newcastle potentially, but maybe they'll go for a deal separately, because I just do not see Anthony Gordon leaving. I just do not see that happening. That's just not something that I believe will happen. So I think we have to be realistic about that one, but watch what happens with Anthony Gordon. Liverpool definitely do like him. Let's talk about this guy, shall we? Let's talk about Bia, because he is definitely being looked at by a few clubs. Borussia Dortmund are currently leading the race to sign him. Chelsea and Aston Villa also looking to sign the 21-year-old Germany forward from Hoffenheim. Look, he is a player who 100% has impressed in terms of the goals, in terms of coming on the scene. Never, ever heard of this player until people were saying, go get him, he's going to be a wonder kid. Now, everyone's going to be a wonder kid in this game. I don't know enough about him, I really don't, to know that he's going to be a top elite striker. But apparently there's a few teams that are looking at him. So I feel like there's some legs here. But Dortmund are the ones who are apparently favourites. Now, I believe the reason they're favourites is because they've just lost their centre-forward, Nicholas Füllkrug, who is at the moment pretty much a here we go in relation to West Ham. Apparently, the Germany striker, who's 31 years old, has completed his West Ham medical and he will be moving from Borussia Dortmund. Sky Sports are reporting it. Fabrizio Romano is reporting it. This is a good signing for West Ham, This is a very good signing. And I must say, West Ham, at the moment, their business is looking pretty good. And Tim Steinton, I know that Dan Lawless has spoken about him quite a lot. He's clearly doing his job very well. Because for me, this is a very good move. West Ham, adding him to Somerville and to Kilman, they're looking at Wan-Bissaka as well. 4 good signings that, in my opinion, all will definitely get into the first team. And if you add that to an already decent goalkeeper in Areola, you've got a left back in Emerson, but you're changing the other 3 positions at the back. That's a new back 4, really, back 5. In midfield, obviously, they've got Alvarez, they've got Paqueta, they've got James Ward-Prowse. Across the front 3, they've got Bowen and Kudus and now Füllkrug as well as Somerville. Starting to have a little bit of depth now all of a sudden, West Ham. Yeah, I don't know. What can Lopetegui do? Could he do something scary? I don't know. Let's see. One player, though, that is looking to be on his way out is Tottenham's Emerson Royale. I've never been a fan of this player. I couldn't believe that Tottenham were actually getting excited once about this player becoming good from Barcelona. But apparently AC Milan, they've made a bid worth around about 15 million euros, which is just over 12 million pounds, plus some add-ons to sign the Brazilian defender Emerson Royale. He's only 25 from Tottenham. That's come from Fabrizio Romano. Looks like this deal is going to happen. It's been on the cards for a few weeks now. They were interested in him. They've gone for a price, then it was rejected. Then they've gone for another price. Looks like they're going to now potentially agree on 15 million euros. I think Tottenham need to get rid of him. I would actually just use Jed Spence if he's still there as backup and try and get something out of him if I was Ange Postecoglou. Tottenham still need a lot to do. I don't have Tottenham finishing very high so far from what I've looked at. I just don't think they score enough goals in terms of up front. I don't think they've got a killer. They did all right for goals last season, but I think they'll struggle if they could keep Richarlison, Werner, and Kulusevski as one, and Brennan Johnson. Come on, they need more than this. Tottenham need more in every department, in my opinion. Good first 11, shocking backup, and that for me is why I don't have them finishing very high at the moment. So that's the way I see it. Other news is reporting that there is a Juventus player that they would like to offload. And at the moment, Juventus are said to want to offload as many as up to 8 stars this summer in an overhaul, including the 26-year-old who has been linked with Tottenham, Federico Chiesa. Now, I know this guy's got injury problems, but he's a top talent. That's for sure. He's a player that we all know is going to be a top potential player as long as he stays fit. And that is my problem with him, is that his injury problems have been really poor. Tottenham would like him, but also there's other clubs, Manchester United and Arsenal, both now also interested in looking at a cut price deal for Chiesa, who is in the final year of his contract at Juventus. And they are looking at him as being one of the many stars that are looking to cut. Now, I don't know if you are a fan of this player and if you think he would do a good job at Arsenal. Personally, I would try and go for Eze. I would have Pedro Neto. I would have Leroy Sané. I would have Nico Williams over all of those over this guy. But if he become available and we needed someone that we felt could come in and actually do the job, I think if you keep him fit, he's got potential. He's a huge, huge player. He's not young anymore. He's not a player we look at and think, oh, God, he'll be good in a few years. When he hit the scenes in the Euros, I think he was around about 22, something like that. But now he's 26 years old. So he's not old, but he's getting towards the age where he should be in his prime. If you can keep this guy fit, you'd have a fantastic signing. Tottenham have been interested in him and have been interested in him for a while. Manchester United need a wide forward for sure because they've got Anthony and Sancho that they still don't really want. They've got Marcus Rashford as their only one. Chiesa does really play on the left-hand side, but he has been known to play on the right-hand side as well, I believe. So maybe this could be a good signing. But I believe that Chelsea, Spurs, and United are probably going to be more favourites to sign Chiesa than Arsenal will. So let's see what happens there. Let's move to this man, shall we? Because it does still seem like the rumour won't go away. The 22-year-old Jared Branthwaite from Everton could be forced to be sold, and it could be forced to be sold below their asking price because Everton are still trying to avoid any cash flow issues. Now, I don't feel like £75 million was ever fair for a player who's done absolutely nothing in the game other than one season, 22 years old, hasn't got into the England setup quite yet. He's got potential, trust me, to be a very, very good centre-half. But should you be paying £75 million for someone? Not in my opinion. We're talking about paying that for potentially Viktor Gyokeres or Viktor Osimhen. Like this is not in the same level as that. So for me, I think they need to be looking at 50 million to 60 million pounds, a bit like Mark Guehi. He has got that potential. He's a bit younger than Guehi by a year. So for me, they're the sort of players that you need to be looking at. And if I'm honest with you, if you wanted to get a centre half pairing for the future, Mark Guehi as a left centre back and Jared Branthwaite as a right centre back, I think would be really good for the years to come. So if Newcastle were interested in looking at two centre halves, if Manchester United were interested in looking at two centre halves, then I think those are the two that people should be looking at. But Man United look to have got Lenny Euro and look like they're going to get De Ligt. Newcastle have got problems with Sven Botman, but for me would be two very, very good signings for them. Will Everton have to admit that you are getting a cut price deal? Now, let's be real. If you're actually looking at getting Mark Guehi and Jared Branthwaite, you're only looking at £100 million. And I know that sounds a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But for two centre-halves in this day and age, if you was to get two for 50, you'd say, fair play. I think you could do that. I really do. I think that would be an unbelievable centre-half pairing for the years to come. 22 and 23 years old. You're not going to get much better than that. Not at a club like Newcastle who can go and really do some damage with the players that they've got attack-wise. They need to sort their centre-half pairings out. My goodness, Newcastle could be brilliant. And they're my tip for top four. I've said it. It's my wild take of the season. Newcastle will get top four, in my opinion, because they've got one game a week and they've got all their players back and they're signing players as well. See what happens. They keep Gordon, Bruno G and Isak. I think they get top four. I really do. We're going to end, as we always do, on some Arsenal news. Of course, Arsenal at the moment, it's all gone a little bit quiet, hasn't it? We're still not quite sure what's happening at the moment. But there is some news of outgoings. There's some rumours. There's some talk of ex-players leaving. And there's some talk of our Arsenal. It's coming out about what they were looking at doing in midfield, which I think is very, very interesting. But before we do that, there is an announcement for Newcastle signing William Osula, who is £10 million deal with £5 million add-on. He's a Sheffield United 21-year-old striker. Newcastle looking to upgrade that position of Callum Wilson. Well, I don't know if it will upgrade it, but it will certainly replace it. That's for sure. Looks like Callum Wilson may not have a future at Newcastle, and they need a backup for Alexander Isak, and they believe that this is the guy. I don't know much about him. Highly rated at Sheffield United. Don't think he really did much in the Premier League from what I can remember. They had Cameron Archer, who I think was playing most of their games. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what he does in a Newcastle shirt. Let's move to Arsenal, shall we? There is definitely some news that we can discuss. But first of all, I want to bring up Max's super chat. He's been waiting patiently. Big up, Max. Hope you're well, brother. Says, hey, Dan, how are you? I'm very well, thank you, mate. I hope you are too. Hope that we get in one or two of the victors. I saw João Pedro of Brighton. What are your thoughts? Striker and winger after Merino, and we're good to go. I personally think Osimhen and Gyokeres is on the level of Isak. Just my opinion. Okay, let's break that down. First of all, I'm very well, and I hope you are too. I hope that we do get Viktor Gyokeres. That's the one that I would like to see us get. João Pedro of Brighton is a good player. I'm not so sure that he's one that would take us across the line, in my opinion, but he certainly did well for Brighton last season. But I think it's a lot of money. They're reporting £55 million for a player who hasn't really done much in the Premier League yet, other than score a few goals for Brighton. I think that'd be a lot of money. A striker or a winger after Merino, I totally agree with you. I do think we're then good to go. I think that might need to be a winger in the mould of somebody like Eze, because he can play in a number of positions. But if we got a striker and Eze, I think we'd be in a really good position. Personally, you think Osimhen and Gyokeres are on the level of Isak? I don't. I know that's your opinion. I feel like Isak, for me, is definitely the one. And if I'm honest with you, I believe that we could probably get Isak next summer, but not this summer. So for me, I would actually believe that Viktor Gyokeres or Osimhen, believe it or not, are probably more realistic targets. So that's where I'm at. Listen, people, there's over 400 people in here, which is great. But the only bad thing is there's only 85 of you that have liked the video. Come on, show some appreciation. Please, if you like what we're doing here, please make sure that you hit the like button, because that is something that really does make the channel grow. So please make sure you hit like and subscribe. It's 2 free buttons. This is free content for you to watch. So please make sure you show some love and appreciation. I would really appreciate that. Let's get that over to 150 likes and on the way to 200, please, people, very quickly. Big up to Max. Max, I must appreciate you, mate. You know I do. And thank you so much for the super chats. You're a legend. I really do appreciate that. And thank you to Kingsley as well earlier for the super chat too. That is much appreciated. Okay, let's take a look at some of the Arsenal news then, shall we? Because there are reports that we are still looking at getting this deal done. Personal terms agreed. We've agreed a fee. Why is it not done then? What's happening here? Why have we not got this over the line? Fabrizio Romano says it's going to get done. David Ornstein has said it's going to get done. The Athletic have said it's going to get done. Well, let's get it done then. 30 million euros is the one fee that's been agreed. Real Sociedad happy to let him go. Arsenal happy to get the number 8 that they finally do want. And that, let's be real, Arteta has been a long admirer of, apparently. So where the hell is the player? Listen, I expect this one to get done. I don't know why it takes Arsenal so long sometimes. I really don't. But it does take a long time. But this one, I believe it will get done. And I think he will start in the 8. A lot of people are looking for Declan Rice to play in that 8 and Marino, to come in and potentially give some competition to Declan Rice with Partey starting. I actually think he sees the midfield as Rice, Marino and Ødegaard now. I think he's trying to move on from Thomas Partey because he knows his injury problems. And if I'm honest with you, I still think Partey starts for Arsenal if he's fit. But we can't be playing him every single game. So this would be a good signing for sure. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this one gets done. Somebody who's out of Arsenal is Nicolas Pepe. Somebody who's now out of Trabzonspor is Nicolas Pepe. He's now gone to Villarreal and has signed for them. Whatever happened to him, mate? My goodness. When we signed him at 24 years old from Lille, I was thinking, wow, we've got someone who's just scored 22 goals over at Ligue 1. Only player to score more than him at the year was Mbappe. I thought we'd be in for a bit of a treat, and it never worked out for him. Personally, wasn't one of my favourite players, but one that I always fairly believed in and stuck up for a while more than some, because I felt like whatever happened, whether you were a fan or were not a fan, he would score, he would create, or he would assist. And he never, ever had a great game, some of those games. But he was brilliant in the FA Cup final in 2020, and for me, he was one of the better players. I always thought we should have played him more down the middle. But Nicolas Pepe is off to Villarreal to try and revive his career at the age of around about, 30 now? I don't think he can't be. Maybe he's not even that. Maybe he's 29. Can't even remember now. But for me, he's a player that we needed to move on. Didn't suit what Mikel Arteta was doing. So he has now gone to Villarreal. Some really interesting news as well before we move on to the striker and some of the outgoings. It has been reported at AFC stuff about an hour ago that Football London understands that Arsenal made contact with Amadou Onana. And this was before the player ended up joining Aston Villa. Now, we were obviously very interested in this player, and there was some reports suggesting that we would be going in for Onana, but he has obviously now gone to Aston Villa, which I think is a good signing. But apparently, Arsenal were massively interested at the start of this window in Bruno Guimaraes, and it's been reported that they were looking at him, and Newcastle quoted a fee that they felt was unreasonable. Now, what that means, I think, is Bruno Guimaraes' release clause of £100 million. Newcastle aren't going to say, yeah, come and give us 80. They're going to wait and see if anyone releases it. And as soon as somebody else says, I'm not interested in this, they're going to then try and do everything they can to keep hold of the player, which is why I think Bruno will end up staying at Newcastle. But let's be real. This would be a phenomenal signing for Arsenal. And for me, if we was to go for one signing that I was to say, wow, it would be this one. Now, I know that Newcastle are not going to sell him now. Apparently, Newcastle want 100 million euros. They don't want to go down to 70 or 80 million. And I understand why. The player is phenomenal. He's 26 years old, Brazilian international, can play in the 6 and the 8. Would definitely be perfect for what Arsenal need. And I thought it would have been a really good signing. But it does not look like he is leaving Newcastle now. So we'll have to see what happens. We're also going to have to see what happens with this guy, because this is getting silly now. I thought this would have been a done deal. Marseille are getting frustrated with Arsenal because they have only got a certain amount of money to pay on this deal. And Arsenal is saying, well, if you haven't got the money, then kindly see you later. I think we might have potentially messed this deal up. At the moment, it's gone very, very quiet. They offered 27 million euros. Arsenal said, no, that's not enough. Smith-Rowe was 27 million pounds. 27 million euros is around about 22 million pounds, something like that, I think. So for me, I think that was a fair first offer. We rejected it But it looks like Marseille have said, look, this kid's on 100k a week. We cannot afford his wages. You have to give us a lower fee. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do it. And it looks like Arsenal are willing to say no then and hold off. At the moment, it's gone very quiet. The deal is not off, but it's gone very quiet. There's definitely no agreement. Apparently, it's quite, not miles apart, but we're a few £1 million apart. So will this one get done? I imagine it probably will, but I think one of the two teams have got to budge. Marseille have got to say, all right, we'll pay it. Or Arsenal have got to say, okay, we'll sell him for a cut fee. And I'm not going to lie to you people. I don't rate Eddie Nketiah highly enough to say we need 40 million euros. Trying to say that he was worth 50 million euros, that's the same amount that we've got for Calafiori. For me, that is mad. We're never going to get that. Now, Eddie will go there and he'll do well. I'm sure he'll score goals. I'm sure that we've got a striker that can get a Premier League team 10 goals a season. And we've got a striker that could go away abroad to a lower division league or a lower level league and score maybe 15 goals for them. But he is not a player that we can really sit there and say, we want to get rid of him. He's rubbish, but he's 50 million. No, he's not. Like, he's about 20 million pound. Yeah, that's about right. 25 million pound would be fair. If you wanted to say it's 20 million rising to 25, I think still that would be fair. And if that's what Marseille are offering, I don't know why we're trying to hold on, because they clearly can't afford to pay the 30 to 35 that we want. Now, will there be a Premier League club that come in? Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like they're interested. Wolves were sniffing around him. I think Fulham and Brentford and Forest and teams like that were interested at him. But come on, if we go to get 30 million pounds, we've done very, very well. I mean, if we get more for Eddie Nketiah than Smith-Rowe, don't know how we think we're going to do that, in my opinion. But there we go. That's Eddie Nketiah. Watch what happens here. Reiss Nelson, gone very quiet. Leicester, again, another team that cannot afford the 25 million pound fee that Arsenal are looking at. I think a loan with an obligation has allowed us to get a little bit cocky and think, well, if you want him on loan for the whole year and you're not going to pay us until the following summer, we want 20 to 25 million pounds, which I think, again, would be potentially fair. However, I don't think that Leicester can afford that. And if Leicester were to get these points deductions, which a lot of people are saying is going to happen, they're probably favourites to go down. Would Reiss Nelson want that to happen? Would there be a loan with an obligation if they was to go down? Would there be something put in place in Reiss Nelson's camp that says, well, if you go down, I'm going back to Arsenal and then I'm going to be sold to someone else? There is a lot that's happening with this deal that's holding it up. And for some reason, it's gone very, very quiet. And at the moment, it looks like West Ham no longer want him, seeing as they've signed Somerville. They were very interested in Reiss Nelson and were going to go for him, but they decided to go for Somerville instead. There's also reports and rumours that Forest were sniffing around him. However, I don't know why they would want him when they've got Gibbs White, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi that are all at the club. I don't know where Nelson's going to go. I imagine it probably will end up being Leicester, and one of the two teams has got a budge, basically, and come to a compromise. And that's Arsenal saying, you know what, fair play, we give you 15 million. And Leicester are saying, yeah, go on then, we'll give you 15. Arsenal are saying, okay, that sounds fair. So that's where I'm at. That is where I am at. So let's see what happens with Reiss Nelson. The other player that's gone very, very quiet and definitely was linked with a move away, particularly to the Serie A clubs, was Jacob Kiwior. Now, this one's gone very quiet. I don't know why that is. I don't know if Arsenal are looking at potentially keeping him or trying to believe that he's part of the squad. I would not mind seeing him as a squad player. A lot of people say that they would get rid of him. Don't think he's good enough. I haven't actually seen him as a left-sided centre-back, but when I did, he looked all right. As a left-back that weren't inverting, he looked okay. Good cover. A player that came in and did quite good last season, in my opinion, when we were not playing that inverted role. Definitely can't invert. He's definitely not the best starting defender that we've got. But in my opinion, if he wants to stay at Arsenal and fight for his spot, there's definitely room for him. Because I know we've signed Calafiori, but there's only really him as the only other left centre-back. We haven't really got many centre-backs at the club. We've got Calafiori, Gabriel and Saliba, but that's it. We've got makeshift ones like Tomiyasu, Timber and Ben White, but they're not actually known for being centre-backs. So Kiwior at least is. If we were to have to sell one, personally, I would get rid of Zinchenko instead of Kiwior. I really would. And a lot of people are saying that it's not very fair to have a go at Zinchenko. What it is, the guy's been poor. Defensively, he's not been good enough. You just got to be honest with it. I know people like him because he gets the crowd up and he's a bit of a passionate merchant. For me, he ain't good enough on the ball defensively. And going forward, I'm cool with him. I'm cool with it. But his spatial awareness at times is really bad, man. But nothing happening with Jacob Kiwior at the moment. But I do potentially expect something to happen there. So watch this space. Now let's talk about the striker situation. There's 3 that we are linked with. It is not Ivan Toney. It is not Alexander Isak. Although yesterday, on one of the transfer news deadlines, it did suggest that Arsenal were looking at Alexander Isak as their perfect dream striker. I'll read it out to you, actually. This comes from The Independent. It was around about midnight last night, saying that Arsenal's dream of attracting Isak to the club are real. He is considered perfect and compatible with Mikel Arteta's style of play. Oh, wow. That sounds so good, but it sounds like a dream, and it sounds like one that's not going to happen. But maybe it will happen in the summer of next year, or the window of next summer. That one could happen. But Arsenal are apparently interested, according to the Sunday Mirror, in Julian Alvarez. We've mentioned him earlier, on the way to Atletico Madrid at the moment, it seems. PSG very much interested as well in talking to Man City about what Julian Alvarez may cost. I just do not see Manchester City selling Julian Alvarez to Arsenal. I just don't see that happening. I understand they sold Jesus and Zinchenko to us, but that was when we were fighting for top four a couple of years ago now. They've sold Palmer and Sterling and other players to Chelsea, haven't they? And that's because they're no threat. When Man City don't see you as a threat, you can have their players. When they see you as a threat, as we have been for the last 2 seasons, well, we haven't bought any of the Man City players, have we? And people thought, oh, it's just Arteta and Pep sharing their players. No, it's not. Like, for me, I genuinely believe Pep did not see Arsenal as a threat when he sold us to Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. And for me, Julian Alvarez is definitely a player that would improve Arsenal. 80 to 90 million euros. Is it worth spending that on one of the other 2 striker options that we've got? Potentially. Let's talk about them now. One of them, of course, is Viktor Osimhen. I don't know how many of you would like Viktor Osimhen or if you believe that he is the one that's needed, but I think 80 to 90 million euros would definitely get this player from Napoli to Arsenal if that was the one that we were interested in. Now, there was a report suggesting that he was the player that we were after the summer before last, when he was absolutely flying at Napoli. Bit of a strange season for Osimhen, this one just gone. He scored goals still, didn't have the best African Cup of Nations, had a couple of injury niggles, and hasn't been the player that people thought that he might be from the season before last. But he would still be a good signing for anybody. And I think if Arsenal were to sign him, I think a lot of people would look over at that and go, wow, that could be a really good option for Arsenal. I also think if Chelsea were to get him, which doesn't look like it's going to happen, it would be a good signing. So whoever signs Viktor Osimhen, they're going to be looked at as potentially looking at achieving their target for that season, because he's going to help them, whether it be getting the top 4, win a trophy, or for Arsenal, get across the line and win a Premier League title or a trophy, or both, which would be great. The other striker that everyone's talking about, the one that I would personally like, is Viktor Gyokeres. Now, I showed a goal last night that he set up from the halfway line. People talk about Viktor Gyokeres being a guy that's tall, that's a lump, that stands in the box. This is just absolutely not true. If you look at his ball carrying stats, they're incredible. If you look at his dribbling stats, they're incredible. If you look at him ball carrying from the halfway line, setting up that goal, it was superb. He's got pace, he's got power, he knows where the goal is. He's all-round number 9 play. He's tall, he's got aerial threat, he's physically imposing. This guy can literally, what I see, do everything on the football. And I think he would be my number 1 now. I look at him and I think, yeah, 100 million euros is a lot for a release clause. But if that's the striker that gets you across the line, is that a lot of money? No. I'd pay 100 million euros if it meant that Arsenal won the league. So I'd go all out for Viktor Gyokeres now. Now, he's £84 million. That's a lot of money. It's similar to what Liverpool paid for Darwin Núñez, who was a flop, people said, over from Portugal. Well, that doesn't mean this guy's going to be a flop. He was brilliant at Coventry. He's been brilliant for Sporting Lisbon. 58 GA in 50 games. That is incredible. 58 goals and assists in only 50 games for Sporting Lisbon. Come on. Absolutely incredible. That's in all competitions. So for me, I think he would be the number 1 now. And I think if we was to sign a winger and Gyokeres after Merino comes in with Calafiori added to that, I think Arsenal could be ready to go for a title. And I think we should be ready to go for a title then. I think we've got cover in every single position. If we sign Viktor Gyokeres, you've still got Havertz and Jesus to back up after him. If you go and get Eze, you've got Eze that can back up for Saka and Ødegaard. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Martinelli and Trossard. You've still got Ethan Wanier and Fabio Vieira. In midfield, if you've got Merino and Rice as the 8s, you've got Jorginho and Partey and Rice as the 6s. You've got Calafiori and Timber and Tomiyasu and Zinchenko that can all play left-back. Ben White, Tomiyasu and Timber that can all play right-back. You've got Saliba and Timber that can play right-sided centre-back. And you've still got Tomiyasu and Ben White that can play there too. And then you've got Gabriel Calafiori and potentially Timber that can play left-sided centre-back. And your 2 goalkeepers. Arsenal was set. There's no way that we have any excuses about not having a good enough squad, because that bench, when you're bringing on Eze, when you're bringing on Trossard or Martinelli, when you're bringing on Havertz or Jesus, when you're bringing on Ethan Nwaneri if you want to, when you're looking at Jorginho or Partey to hold and bolster things up, when you're looking at Tomiyasu and Timber, this is a brilliant bench. You don't look at any of that bench and go, what the hell, that ain't fixed. When Fabio Vieira is your worst, weakest player, it wasn't long ago he was being used as the one that comes on as one of the best. So honestly, man, I feel like personally it's going to be a great opportunity for us to go in for 2 more players after Merino and really bolster this squad. What I don't want is to end up not getting a seller for Eddie and Nelson and we're stuck with them both and we end up using them on our bench again. That's just standing still. That's not moving forward. Arsenal need to 100% move forward. 500 in here. How many likes have we got, people? I hope it's over 150. We're 3 off 150. Let's get up to 200, please, people. Big up to everyone. Big up to your super chats. I much appreciate that. Let's see what Arsenal do in the striker market. There's still a way to go. There's still a way to go for us to look at a winger as well. At the moment, the favourite is Leroy Sané from what we're hearing. I don't know if that's everyone's personal choice. Pedro Neto and Eze are being linked as well. Nico Williams looks like it's not going to happen and he's going to stay in Spain. And the striker options out of those 3, who would you like? Let me know in the comment section. Would you like Osimhen? Would you like Julian Alvarez? Or would you like Viktor Gyokeres? Take a punt at one of those. It might be none of them. It might be you want Tony. It might be you want Watkins. It might be you want someone I've never even heard of. So make sure you do let me know in the comment section. I'll be back at 1 p.m. today with Chris Hudson. Myself and Chris will be talking all things Arsenal. So we'd love to get your Q&As going with some of your questions and some of your thoughts and opinions on the transfer window so far. So me and Chris are going to be talking Gooner to Gooner about all things Arsenal. So please make sure you join us at 1 p.m. Set your notification bell so you don't miss the show. Make sure you hit a like. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you also do check out Manscaped and show them some love. And we will see you at 1 p.m, people. Take it easy. We're out of here. And as always, up the Arsenal. Laters.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.